Game Builder Garage comes out very, very soon, and I am so excited. This game allows us to make our own games and creations using these little creatures called Nodon. And the Nodon come in many different shapes and sizes, and some of them are questionable, to say the least, but some of them are really cleverly designed, and I want to go through the best Nodon designs, or at least what I think the best Nodon designs are. So without any further ado, let's look at some of the designs of my favorite Nodon so far. The Tilt Nodon's design is very simple, but I still think that it's pretty clever. It's supposed to look like a seesaw, which is an obvious example of something that tilts. Also, in the first trailer, we see one of the only things made with the Tilt Nodon is a seesaw in a 2D platformer. So yes, it definitely fits for its purpose. The next little snippet of design is the controller direction Nodon. So basically, this will give an output depending on what way the Joy-Con is facing. So if it's facing upside down, then if it's coded to give an output when the Joy-Con is facing upside down, then it will give an output. So because this Nodon's function is based around what angle the Switch is facing, it would make sense that the Nodon design is just a simplified version of the Nintendo Switch, but we're seeing it from the back. Really clever stuff. Next up is the compare Nodon. This takes two values and gives an output depending on what those values were. Anyways, the design looks like a weight, which is obviously something that compares the weight of two objects. And I do like the little touch of the eyes being in what would hold the objects, because that makes it look like it has glasses, and that's kind of adorable. This is the absolute value Nodon. This one takes a little bit of explaining. Basically, absolute value is a value's distance from 0. So -5's absolute value would be 5, because if you count it out, it is 5 places away from 0. But the absolute value of 5 is simply 5, because it's still only 5 spaces away from 0. So basically, an absolute value of a number will always be positive, and that is why the Nodon looks like a plus sign. It also looks like a grave because it has killed many students. You have probably not seen this one before. This is the digitized Nodon, and currently it is not really known what its purpose is. It probably has something to do with taking an analog input and turning it into a digital one, or a binary one, which is just on or off. The reason why it looks like an old-school arcade-style character is because back then, games were very digital and not very analog. What I mean by that is that when you press a button on an arcade game, it only does one thing. Think of the original Super Mario Bros. If you press the jump button, the jump will always be the same height every time. So you are either jumping or not jumping. Now take a look at new Mario, and you will see that we have a ton of different jumps, and those are more analog. We have more control over them. The Nodon for Endgame looks like a theater with curtains, and that is because the old term, "that's curtains for you," derives from when a play closes its curtains, meaning that the play is over. When you replace the word play with game, then you immediately see why this is so clever, because it's a use of an analogy in a design. And finally, we have my personal favorite, the Freeze Time Nodon. And there is so much to say about this little guy. First of all, the little waves around him feel like a barrier, which is putting a barrier around time, or at least the game's time. The little stick in the middle is an obvious reference to a clock, which again is a very obvious reference to time. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about this game. I am simply so excited for its release date, and I hope to see you all soon.